Good morning. The 6th of March 2020. Agnieszka Justicia, the first of Honestia. And here I am with my update on the Honestian Academy. So overall, I talked about it in detail in 2019. And right now, perhaps I could somehow make the overall thinking, the Honestian thinking, clearer. So let's start with a general write-up from the 9th of October 2019 still, because what I'm at now is the arrival at this point after the many steps. By that time, I had become very aware of the historical changes. So normally, as we live, we have different interests, and then if you are aware of something and the something is outstanding, like the civilizational change taking place during our lifetimes, the perception of importance twists. So, by the 9th of October 2019, the key focus became the spiritual history of humankind. And I thought of it in terms of subjects. I listed 10 for this particular area of study. Of course, these subjects are repeated and reformed as the thinking develops. 1. Sacred books of the greatest world religions, the beginnings of religion. 2. The history of religious thought worldwide. 3. The history of philosophy, literature, and fine arts worldwide. 4. First civilizations. 5. Empires, the British Empire, India, China, and other empires. 6. Monarchies. 7. Law. 8. World history and histories of selected nations. 9. The Middle Ages and Romanticism. The time of spirit, implications and corrections. 10. Languages as expressions of culture. And here my selected area of interest are the following languages: English, German, Hungarian and Norwegian, French, Spanish and Italian, Russian, Arabic, Tibetan, Hindi, Latin, and of course it's valid, it's all important that my mother tongue is Polish. So it does not function as a foreign language. This is the starting point, and this is this particular language that creates the overall awareness at the start. Then we move on to the 25th of October 2019. And from subjects we move to courses. I believe my thinking at the time was in terms of the traditional university rather than the academy. As I said in the previous recording, my academy is interactive, so I read other people's publications and I respond to them from the academy, while the traditional university is focused on certain areas of study, and it does not function interactively. So the courses are: 1. The Holy Bible. 2. Judaism, the history of Jews, or a history of Jews. Probably when one person is doing the job, it's a history. 3. Hinduism, a history of India. 4. Buddhism, a history of Tibet. 5. Islam, a history of the religion. 6. Christianity, a history of the religion. 7. First civilizations. 8. World history, an outline of the world history. 9. A history of English literature. 10. A history of Polish literature. 11. Romanticisms, plural. The Middle Ages, Orientalism, Historism, Nature, the Spirit. 12. Empires. 13. A history of philosophy. 14. Phenomenology. 15. A history of fine arts. Adarian music and theater. 16. The law. 17. The earth, landscapes. 18. The earth, fauna and flora. 19. Drawing. 20. Poetry. Foreign languages. So you have English, German, Russian, French, Spanish, Latin, Italian, Norwegian, and Hungarian, and Arabic, Hindi, and Tibetan. So English. We are thinking in terms of courses, areas, so the fields of vocabulary and grammar and conventions and whatever else concerns the field. English literature, law, philosophy, religion, history, science. German literature, law, philosophy, religion, history, science. Russian, French, and Spanish, as above. Latin, reading and writing texts, religion, law, literature. Italian, Norwegian, Hungarian, the basics. Symbol texts. Arabic, Hindi, Tibetan, whatever. And now, to give you the idea how it functions within the Honestian thinking, let's have a look at the spiritual, intellectual focus for a special day. this is a specific day, All Saints Day 2019. So some people reflect on this. The areas. 1. The Jewish nation, or the Jewish people. 2. Adam Mickiewicz. 3. The Tibetan nation, or the Tibetan people. 4. Eastern borderlands. I'm talking from Poland. 5. Saints. 6. Poetry. 7. Others, or other areas of, for instance, China, Russia. 8. My spiritual life. And then, depending on the situation, you can do more or less in terms of studying, in terms of meeting people, in terms of reflections. But all these areas come into focus on that special day. And obviously what you arrive at is different from what you would arrive at if you thought only in terms of, okay, so today is the All Saints Day, and I'm going to church. Now, the academy, going through the particular faculties. So the Faculty of Fine Literature and Arts, reading literature, with the idea of writing a book. And here I have some names: Umberto Eco, Garden, and Poetics. Knighthood, Sir Mallory. These are orientation points. Romanticism. The book Romanticism and History on Mickiewicz, Słowacki, Norwid, the poets of the lake, Blake, Shelley, Keats, and Romanticism. This is also a book. New Romanticism, own works, Shakespearean works, Shakespeare's plays. So this is fine literature and arts in short. And then we have written here. Written is a collection of texts or text samples representing the greatest earthian heritage. So looking for new entries. Superb education, the Faculty of Superb Education, the Honestian paradigm. And here I have added philosophy of science and similar works. So to arrive at the paradigm in the humanities, I need some philosophy of science. As it develops, of course, because the outlines are already there. Handbooks, in time, great cultural projects. Tibet, India, Arabia, China, Russia, Germany, Austria, France, Spain, Israel. And here I have for Tibet, Tibetan language, Tibetan mythology, Tibetan culture, guide, and Tibetan Buddhism. A flower club, that is dramas, poetry, and drawing. And as for dramas, I have Polish, Russian, English, German, Latin, French, and Spanish. So the idea is also that you work on many languages at the same time. I mean, not at the same particular time at the moment, but some period of time. For example, this year I'm learning these 7 languages, and it is not in sequence. It is so to say parallel. The Faculty of Histories, empires, the history of empires, and starting with the ancient times, the focus on ancient times, but then it develops into the history of humankind. History of religion, an overview. History of literature, ancient times and selected histories. History of science, towards a map. So the idea is to create a map, a kind of drawing. History of philosophy, handbooks, and this is the focus on texts. So not a lecture, but texts, all sorts of texts, probably whole works, but and this is towards the history of humankind. The Faculty of Law, spiritual rights, human rights, other. Spiritual rights, own works on the basis of sacred writings and life. Human rights, starting with Freeman, and he starts with the natural law. So it is important. Other, general framework or history of ideas. The Faculty of Natural and Supernatural Sciences, the case of psychology, the case of religion, the case of fine arts. Psychology towards a history, so this has to do with the beginning. So what does the term psychology come from in the first place, and what it has become. Religion, the spiritual and the formal. Fine arts, significance and form. Astronomy, astrology and extraterrestrial life, on inspiration. However, I also have a view over history from the ancient times. So this is the area where we need to be very careful, because I don't know, some of you may have read The Deception Point. So I'm aware of it. This awareness is always with me, but I still believe that extraterrestrial civilizations are in contact with us. Health and beauty, beautiful ideas, beautiful lives, beautiful works. So for beautiful ideas, that would be poetry, fiction, essays, etc., etc. And these are for ideas. Of course, life too. For beautiful lives, biographies, and superb works, my masterpieces for beautiful works. Finance, new finance, conceptual framework. So my idea generally is to go back in time to where finance started, and like going back to the drawing board and starting that. The school. So the school, the Honestian school, has languages, literatures, sacred writings, history, sciences, chess and Scientology. Except that I am not too willing to focus on Scientology now, so I'm not doing that. And for languages we have French, German. For the school we have French, German, Spanish, Russian and Arabic, Norwegian, Hungarian, Italian and Latin. The method, the approach overall is present, but this is simpler. Literatures, Polish and English. So the leading language is French, so French is every day, and other languages on other days. Sacred writings. And here there's an important development in my thinking. So we have the Eastern thought, Asia, and the Western thought, Europe. And the important, the right point is that all the religions that have survived are actually born in the East. And so we have Eastern religions, Asia, and Western thought, Europe. Histories. The British Empire, the Polish Empire. For the British Empire, going back to Trevelyan and others, and the Polish Empire histories, what I can find. Sciences. Maths, physics, chemistry, biology, geography, other. Maths, theory and practice, physics, chemistry and biology, theoretical basis. So in the academy or in the thinking, the Honestian thinking, there's a lot of focus on knowing the language, that is terms. There's a conviction that knowing a term opens an area. So this is the way you can think about the world, and this is not restrictive in the sense of being able to reject them and say, okay, so this under this term you have this phenomena, but these phenomena can be viewed in a totally different way, and then you have different categorization. So this is actually, that also comes from my life. And when I was teaching in the secondary, lower secondary school, one of my groups got the homework of a list of words, simple words like the sun, the tree, and so on, the sky, the flower, the dog, the girl, the notebook, and their task was to find their own categories for these, which are different from the categories we have. As for Scientology, the main interest is in the conceptual framework. So this is also for the development of the mind, how you can view things differently. And then perhaps I will have a look at this, at the order of chastity and other areas that are not exactly the academy, but there's some work. Overall, what needs to be emphasized is that the whole Honestian thinking treats education, study, as learning, as a holy application. So this is actually not the intellectual work, this is the spiritual work. This is the very products are different from what you normally get at the universities that focus solely on the intellect. But of course you apply your brain powers to arrive at these new findings and the overall arrangement of life. So the order of chastity, purity, thought, intention, light, love, harmony with the universe, with nature, with the universe. thought, intention, conduct, life, love, um, harmony with with nature, with the universe, and this is practice. But then you can write about it too. And then the Honestian way of life. So Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, plus innocence. So I mentioned it in the previous recording too. And now how that can be developed. So we have the reception and the creation. So as for the reception, this is reading sacred writings, fine literature, history, fine viewing, fine getting to know, or perhaps getting to know, not read. Fine arts, during music, philosophy and languages. So this is the area where you can receive, and this is spiritual. So again, there's a different focus. And then creative. Lectures, so you actually give lectures. Fine literature, you actually write fine literature. Fine arts, you actually create fine arts. Daring music preferably. Philosophy, you actually create or develop a philosophy. Description of the world. The truth is very important here. Oh no, that's for something else. Description of the world. Contemplations and dialogues. And as far as the dialogue is concerned, the idea is that you can write a dialogue where you assume different roles. So one of the ideas was a dialogue between the Godberdian and the Eucharistian. And you write it yourself. There's the Virginal Church of Honestia, the cult of the Virgin from times immemorial. So the cult of the Virgin in earthen incarnations. The Honestian temple, sacredness, the temple of truth. Then the Book of Honestia, manuscripts, a chronicle and other writings. For instance, the Honestian symbolism, the Honestian tales, etc. Solianum, the think tank. So there are works and there's a work. In terms of works, translations, analysis, compilations, case studies, argumentations and others. And in terms of the workshop, explications. And in terms of a workshop from humanities to other areas of human activities. So, for example, learning legal English within a workshop it can result in all sorts of things. It can result in some analysis, it can result in a script for learning the language, it can result in a comment on the terms, whatever. But it starts with the workshop. It's some simple things that many of us did, but perhaps with a different attitude and ideas. The Honestian Court of Law, some cases in history of humankind, like the French Revolution. and I'm running out of time again. The Royal Office, Honestian Documents, Honestian Contacts, the Royal Heritage and Place Monarchic Heritage. Right, so I need to be winding up now. Funny minute. Fluffies, Lego, building blocks, plastic animals, figures, board games, natural treasures like stones, and the company of domestic animals, wild animals only if they can live freely with people, with children, books, well, and more.